You're listening to Southeast Radio's Business Matters with Karl Fitzpatrick in association with Wexford Insurances. Challenge us at Wexford Insurances 0818 31 30 30.
I'm joined now by Minister Richard Bruton, Minister for Jobs. You're here in Wexford this morning, Minister. Tell us why.
Well, as you know, we have made the South East a crucial area where we hope to build ambitions for the future. The South East Action Plan is designed to respond to an unemployment problem in this region. And today we have a really good announcement with Danone committing to expand its plant, double its capacity, new jobs, and in a really exciting part of the food sector where Ireland is carving out a great success story.
I know that Danone are talking about a €20 million investment.
Well, it's expanding their whole packaging plant to mirror their production capacity increase. They had a €50 million investment in Macroom, and now that's being matched with a €20 million investment here. So this gives them the capacity to double their output to 70,000 tonnes of infant formula. It's a huge vote of confidence by Danone in Ireland as a production source for their infant formula. And this is a company with worldwide reach. So, you know, it is really good for not just the workers in Danone, but for suppliers in the dairy sector.
Let's talk about the action plan for jobs. There's 270 initiatives within it. You're in Wexford this morning having a briefing session with local business people and seeking their feedback. How active were the business people in Wexford in relation to this?
I thought it was a fantastic meeting. I mean, we had obviously Fuse, which you know all about, which is a group of business people. They were represented. And they would be looking at the big strategic challenges to the region. But you also had individual small startup people who were talking about the difficulties they had in getting access to money and getting started, and in the support they need to get through that difficult startup period. So you had, if you like, all ends of the spectrum debating what needs to be done. And I think, you know, we got several ideas for next year and the year beyond in terms of developing our action plan.
What were the top 3 ideas you got from this morning?
Well, obviously it was around startup was key, where a lot of people were concerned about the difficulty of starting up, the mentoring to support that startup phase, that small business is a crucial area. Another was this whole supply chain and the need to get Irish companies into international supply chains to substitute for imports that are created. And a third was the whole IDA challenge and to see more overseas industry. How do we make Wexford a more attractive offer for the international investor? And there was a lot of discussion around those 3 areas.
We're coming to the end of quarter 2 in relation to the implementation of the action plan for jobs. What has been achieved to date?
Well, you saw just last week we announced the microfinance, which is crucial to start-up. We announced recently the temporary loan guarantee, which is for, I suppose, more established companies. We've established our first-time exporter division. We will soon have a one-stop shop in each local authority for small business to get started. So right across the range we're developing opportunities. At the higher end, of course, we now have an IDA, an Enterprise Ireland collaboration group looking at the supply chain, international supply chain, to get bigger companies into that. We have a development capital initiative to help companies who might have weak balance sheets but good opportunities to export. So there's a lot of exciting things happening.
Talk to me about the practical application of the microfinance facility.
Well, it's very practical. I mean, we launched it last week in a cafe which is about to be opened by a couple who a couple of years ago were refused bank finance to go and sell food products at farmers' markets. And now, as a result of getting access to microfinance, not only are they successfully serving farmers' markets, but they'll be employing 7 people in a cafe and Temple Bar. Now, the microfinance is about replicating that 5,000 times to get 5,000 such businesses on their feet who have the germ of a good idea and who can expand. We'll be using the county enterprise structure as, I suppose, the support base for such companies.
And what will be the process for somebody that wants to apply to get access to the funding through that?
Well, anyone who's been refused access by their bank can go to the County Enterprise Board, the local enterprise office, and that will then lead them into the microfinance institution, which can lend up to 25,000. Obviously, they'll have to look at their business plan to see that it's robust and they have the capacity to pay, but it will get them access to money that simply wouldn't be available. And if you look internationally, you find that these facilities have been established in most countries, and they have been a success. And I think it can make a real difference at this time when a lot of people, sometimes through force, others because they have some idea in the back of their head, are looking at self-employment.
In relation to the change in legislation that's been spoken about at government level today in relation to sick pay, that's going to have a major impact on employers across the county, if not nationwide. If, for instance, somebody goes sick and they're going to have to pay them while they're out. Have you considered that, and what are your own thoughts on it?
Well, yeah, this was raised this morning at the meeting, and there is a consultation going on. Clearly, I believe very strongly that we can't afford to be putting additional burdens on employers because they are the drivers of employment opportunities. But equally, there is a problem with the management of sick pay. The evidence would be that it's more in the public sector than in the private. There is a consultation going on, and I think it's very important that employers express their concerns about this, so that all those are factored into the decisions that will be taken later in the year.
To focus on enterprise boards for a second, and on local level, I know that the demand always surpasses the supply of funding that's available. What are your thoughts in relation to the future funding of enterprise boards? Number one, are we going to see them, receiving increased funding in the years ahead, or do you see them being funded by local authorities in the coming years? Because I know they are going to come under the remit of the local authority from next year on.
Well, no, the core funding will be still coming from Enterprise Ireland, and it will be under a service level agreement with the local enterprise office. But also we're now developing new instruments, like microfinance is a new source of capital, if you like, for start-up businesses. So we hope to expand the range of supports and by locating the local enterprise office in local authorities, we can offer a one-stop shop. Because also raised this morning was the frustration that people get, that sometimes it's difficult to get a licence, or they're being obstructed by a council decision as they see it from running their business. If you have a one-stop shop, you can solve all those problems at one location in your local authority.
There's 270 measures in the action plan for jobs. From the feedback that you've received across the country in respect of the sessions that you've held with business people, what are the top 5 areas that are causing business people challenges across the country?
Well, I think access to finance is probably the top one, and that is well developed, and we have instruments to deal with that. I think foreign overseas investment in regional areas, and I think Connect Ireland is a great new initiative, where there's a finder's fee and it's making an impact. Costs and competitiveness remains a huge issue, and people want to see that government and local authorities minimise the obligations that they place on them. Innovation is another theme that is increasingly coming to the fore. It is tying up with local institutes of technology. They create the impetus to build strong sectors. So those would be the sort of top priority issues that people raise.
You're listening to South East Radio's Business Matters with Karl Fitzpatrick in association with Wexford Insurances. Think Wexford Insurances for your business insurance.